Awesome. Kia ora whanau. I am with Daz from Collective Upside, and this presentation is around the small business series that we're building with BrightFire and Microsoft. So what I want to do, my name is Kale, and I'll be interviewing today. And before I jump in, I want Daz, for you, just to give me a little bit of an update around where you are right now, a little bit about the business, and a little bit about yourself too.
Cool. Kia ora, thank you very much for having me. I am Daz. Everyone calls me Daz because Dairne is way too hard to say. We started Hey Mama movement 3 years ago, which turned into Collective Upside this year in November. And we're genuinely just about trying to help women live better lives and find their way to having really strong resilience when they've got all these challenges that they're facing each day. So fill my days with lots of joy and lots of challenge and lots of I wouldn't call it stress, but I have an amazing team around me that all believe in the wellness and power of women feeling good. So yeah, we have a lot of fun and a lot of challenges and meet a lot of cool people.
Awesome. So I think jumping back, I want to go to that 3-year mark, Hey Mama movement, and initially it came from, we've had this chat before, but a little bit of obviously you trying to sort of help women at scale. But can you go into a little bit of specifics about what it is that you actually do?
Yep. So we've created a piece of technology that allows women, so I could live in Hamilton and my best friend could live in Sydney and another one can live in Palmerston North, and all three of us can connect together face to face and work out, we can say, Tuesday, 7:30, let's put the kids to bed and jump online. So it delivers accountability and motivation, but it's also just meaning that they can work out, get a good sweat on for half an hour, and then they've got another half an hour in the chat room where they can sit there, they can see each other, they can talk to each other and just talk about their day, whether it was a tough day, whether it was a great day and they've got something to share or need advice, whatever it is. And we're just finding that, you know, that resilience piece is so important, but being accountable means they keep turning up, and that's the piece that keeps tipping off because our lives get so busy and we've got all these different things that mount up, and the first thing that falls off is ourselves. So our genuine reason for being is to make sure that a woman puts herself first, so that when she goes to work the next day, her cup's actually filled, you know, like she's got energy and she's got support behind her. So when things do go wrong or challenges happen, that she's able to face that and see a way through it and not fall off the proverbial wagon that I dislike.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's a pretty incredible platform for obviously offering that, and I do like the second part of that. I'm a personal trainer myself, and one of the things is that the biggest part, the reason people come for exercise too, in terms of group fitness, is the social aspect. And so you work out together, but then that piece at the end is obviously some of the most pivotal stuff, and I really like that. But when you've got that sort of second half of the session, when you've got some of your best friends coming together to have a chat, what do you find sort of the things that come up after that, after doing the half an hour of exercise?
Moaning, first of all. Particularly after the ngawai, Corbin or my high intensities, is a bit of moaning. No, but they sit there, they have a stretch, and they just talk, and the banter that comes back and the feedback we've had, like husbands join in as well, so they're actually working out with their wives online or girlfriends, and they're actually double dating online, but they sit there, the kids can come in, everyone's just relaxed, and it's just a space. We only have 4 people on each call, so that they can actually talk and connect rather than having lots and having the whole, you know, what we've all had this year with Zoom, like, no, you go, oh no, no, oh sorry, oh no, I'll just mute myself, like, sorry about that, you know. So it's really making sure they can talk and really engage with each other, so that when they leave, they're like, yes, like, you know, I'm not feeling alone now. I didn't need to go out for a coffee, you know, all those different things. I actually got to connect with someone I really care about, and she filled my cup and I filled hers, and we're off, and you know, I can't wait till next Tuesday. So instead of anticipating dread, which is often what we have with exercise, they anticipate enjoyment, because they know, it's going to be a bit tough, and they're going to get a bit sweaty, but they've got someone there they care about and they want to spend time with. So yeah,
I love that. And it's It is really, really interesting because some of the other sort of core pieces of this is that social aspect, which is so important about exercise. It's the same reason that most team sports work so well and you have sort of lifelong friends through sport, is purely because there's such a huge social aspect that comes with the other side of the exercise. Yeah. Nice.
I got to meet Mary Rodriguez from Microsoft. She's in Miami a few months back now. I can't remember when. And I was, because as you can tell, Kale, I'm a bit of a chatter. And so I'm like, and I said, she goes, but how do you explain it really short and sharply? Like, you know, what's your thing? And I was like, I can't do it because there's so many, like, and we'll talk about later, I'm sure, all these different technologies and all these different pieces to the puzzle and why we've done it. And it's accountable and it's motivating, it's this and that. And so we talked about it. She goes, so what you're saying at the end of the day is women's wellness is a team sport, right? And I was like, yes. And you've just said it. And I was like, oh my God, because I've said the whole time, like, I need people and I'm a team sport person. I love netball. And women's wellness is a team sport. And I walked around the house for like a week going, women's wellness is a team sport. Like, we need people. That's the whole premise. And enjoying it and that social aspect. You've just hit the nail on the head. And that's exactly what we're doing. You know, it so is. You know, we don't even go to the toilet by ourselves when we're in public. We always check if anyone else needs to go. We like packs. So, you know, so yeah, it fits really well.
I love that women's wellness is a team sport. That's really good. I think, you know, as this gets bigger and bigger, you have to probably credit that. Okay, I love it. So one of the things that's come out of this, and we've had this sort of discussion, right, is that you're bringing exercise into a place where it can be done from home, which removes some of the barriers of having a gym, and that's a really, really big piece. There's the comfort of doing it, and then the third part that I've always found that sort of the resistance to exercise is that people probably don't want to be sweaty, and I find more so for females in front of others. So you've really, really nailed it in terms of actually removing a lot of the common barriers that it is for like a person coming to exercise. The part that I'd love to jump into, and you and I had this discussion before this, is your huge background in sport. You're a celebrant, you're an educator too, in terms of sort of you've gone down having these pathways, tertiary, but you've never run a business. And I think that in itself, it's scary. It's for most people, it's like a terrifying thing at the best of times. So what I'd love to sort of hear about is, I guess, that first step in terms of 3 years ago, you were like, hey, I want to scale this and have a crack at it, to actually where we are today. So please jump in and sort of just start with, I guess, the inception of actually scaling the idea outward.
Yeah. So it's almost 4 years ago now. My son will be 4 in January, but nice. So 4 years ago, I found myself in quite a hole after having him. And that all comes back to the women's wellness as team sport. Couldn't find my way out of it, tried lots of different things, then clicked, hold on a minute, you need people. So invited some friends into my garage. And those 6 friends turned into 120 women in 3 months, just through word of mouth. It wasn't supposed to be anything. Wow. It was just supposed to be me. I was selfish. It was me getting moving, knowing that I needed people. And the results we saw from those 120 girls that were coming here, we had women on fertility journeys, we had women who were on diabetes medication, we had grandmothers, we had girls who were still at high school, we had every walk of life in between. Like it was for everybody, and everyone came in, they'd have a laugh and a giggle and feel better. We had girls who'd be saying that they were in the car crying before they came in, and that would normally be the day they'd go home, eat rubbish, watch TV, feel really crap about themselves, and then keep that cycle going. But instead, they'd still turn up here, even if they worked out at 50%. They knew I was never ever going to be like, come on, you can do, 20 more of those. What are you up to? Because they would, and it was a really positive environment. And so then I started managing the Waikato Bay Plenty netball team and the New Zealand Secondary Schools netball team. And because I was doing all of this around my husband's work hours, and so had to scale it right back. And then I was like, I can't actually tolerate not helping those women, because all of them were like, well, we'll just wait till netball season's over. And I don't know if you know much about netball, Kale, but that's now like
it doesn't end really.
Yeah, we don't do winter anymore. This is every day. And so that's where the business, like before that, I still didn't really see it as a business. With those 120 women here, we didn't charge much money. They were just coming here. They paid $5 a time to come. It was ticking over really, really nicely. we had 14 women in each session. It was just this beautiful little space. And then I said to my husband, there's just something here I can't let go of. I can't fathom the idea of these women just falling off the wayside again and just waiting till the next thing comes along, because we know that it works. How do we turn this into something that can help a lot of women? And so that's where the okay, maybe I'm going to be a businesswoman took over, but it still wasn't meant to be that way. So I actually contacted Right Honourable Grant Robertson and the government, and I sent an email and I was like, hey, look, I don't want to make any money out of this, but I genuinely believe we could help a lot of women, not just in New Zealand, but across the world if we get the model right. It's not about charging a lot of money. It's trying to make it as accessible and as affordable as possible. What do you reckon? And he came straight back and he was like, thoroughly agree, and got me in touch with Callaghan Innovation. So that's sort of how the journey began. So we did R&D through Callaghan with Enlightened Designs here in Hamilton. And so I'd had this idea, obviously, and I had this thing, and I'd Googled it everywhere. I couldn't find it. And so I was like, surely someone's come up with this. Like, I have no idea about these things. I'm certainly no techie, but it wasn't anywhere. So when we did the R&D, we couldn't find the technology anywhere. So we were literally onto then a world first. This is all pre-COVID. This was nothing to do with COVID. So so that's how it all began. And it's been a ride ever since, really. So yeah.
Unreal. I love that. That's such a good story. That's literally scratching your own itch and then finding a huge sort of market that lies underneath it. So I'm going to, and this will be me throughout this interview, it's just going to be probably coming back and forth, jumping between timelines, because that's sort of, I'm too curious now not to. How did you think about, what made you think about reaching out to a government official?
Because I wasn't in it to make money. So also what I probably should have said earlier was we also started a charity last year called No Bounds. And we've got Casey Corpor and Mike Jenkins and Abby Camp and James Sawbrook on the board. And that was genuinely about smashing boundaries for children in sport. So my drive in life, I live a really nice life. My husband does well for us, and I get to go do passion projects and take care of people, and see people grow and thrive. That's my love, and that's why I do netball for most of my time. And so it wasn't about crafting this amazing thing that was going to make us lots and lots of money. It was about finding a way and finding people to connect to that could actually help us move it and help us see that dream come to fruition, rather than battle away, I guess, trying to keep it. It's something I learned as well. I'm going to have a visitor.
And I'm completely okay with it.
Sorry, Caleb.
It's completely fine. It's normal, and I think we'll keep it included in this interview, because that's literally I think that sums up 2020 pretty well.
Yeah. Now I've lost my train of thought. So I actually, during lockdown, because I was watching a lot of different people's podcasts and all these interviews that were going on, and they were like, just try lanes. Like, there's no rules anymore. Just see what's out there. So I'd been reading the book from the founder of Netflix, Mark Randolph, That Will Never Work. And in it, he says, this is my email address from before we started Netflix. Always answer my emails. So if you think you've got something, send me an email. You'll either get a one-line reply, or you'll get me interested and you'll get my attention. And so a long time before that, I'd read it and I was never, ever emailing that man. Oh my God, that would be so mortifying. I'd be the one who gets the one line back. And then I was like, screw it. Like, everything's out the window and we need to keep moving this, and I need advice wherever I can find it. So I sent him an email and I got his attention, which just everyone's minds blew. And so I actually ended up having an hour Zoom with him during the lockdown. And then he proceeded to send me some emails since. But he was the one to say to me, because I sent him an NDA, so if you could sign this, before we talk, because, you're massive and I'm not, and you could make this happen like that. My husband and I feel funding all this by ourselves. Like, we don't have a big stash of money that we could just make it happen tomorrow. And so he goes, I'll sign it, and that's fine. But I really want you to think about it as you move forward, that the more people you talk to about this and the more people you pull in, and share the idea with, the stronger the idea will be, both because they're going to challenge you back and go, why are you doing it that way? Why aren't you doing it this way? But also can connect you in these lanes. But if you hold on to it really, really tightly, you're going to really struggle to scale it and grow if you're so protective of it. So I was like, oh, okay, well, don't worry about signing it then, because I got a bit like, oh no, like, don't want to put you off before we start. And so that's been sort of my mantra ever since. So with the government, with contacting America, like I've gotten to meet some amazing humans probably over the last 6 months that I've never have ever imagined in my life to ever talk to. And it's now just because literally I sit here like an open book. I'm like, what do you want to know? Okay, I'll totally tell you, because you know, because I'm also an only child, so I'm very used to sort of holding on to things and not sharing too much. So it's been a massive learning. 2020 was the big learning, to just be like, well, open book, you know, other people will come along and do it. It's just making sure that we're not actually worrying about that fight in the background, and just making sure we're forward focused and making sure we're doing the best and always being those steps ahead. So yeah, it's been,
I love that. That's huge. So I mean, yeah, there's some definitely an hour call with the founder of Netflix is pretty huge. What would be, I guess, coming into this year, you've had to make a shift in the way that you think and in the way that you share. And I'm very similar to you in the fact that, like, I'm a relatively open book. Anything that I've sort of tried, and I hope if it helps more people, I'm usually going to get some form of feedback that, hey, I tried this and actually improved it, right? And so typically you'll usually find that if you share something openly, people will always usually reciprocate that, right? For you to make that attitude and mental shift, and I do feel like a lot of Kiwis, with a lot of what we have at Tall Poppy, we're quite closed. We don't like doing this. What were some of the points or the ability to actually change your mind for sort of how to do it and how to be more open?
I had an amazing, so I'm part of Soda Inc. I'm on their Lift program, and through that I got to have a business mentor for 3 months this year, and I got to be with Tara Lorigan. So she has a MNZM from the Queen, and she owns the Company of Women. And on her board, she's got some exceptional women. You know, she's exceptional, but she's got, you know, Teresa Gadding and all of these amazing women as part of this unit. And when we sat down, and she was like, right, so what are our goals? You know, what are we going to get out of these 3 months? I really want to just help you in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going, well, I don't know anything about business, Tara. So it's probably literally giving me like a 101, like, you know, P&L, like all the stuff, like, I don't know. So, and she started asking me lots of questions. She's like, no. She said, that'll come within it. But our focus is actually going to be you speaking confidently and you being able to stand up and go, I'm the right person to lead this. And I have got all of the right skills. I'm resilient, and I can, you know, I've got all these different things, because I wasn't that person. If you met me in January, I was really shy, and I wouldn't have been going, yeah, I'm totally the founder of this. And this is what we're doing. I wouldn't have been happy to put myself in the front facing. I'd love to put someone else. I still would like to put someone else in the front of it, to be honest. But yeah, so we literally worked for 3 months on positive self-talk and, you know, doing the right thing. She calls it feeding the leader, and making sure that I was ready. And when a challenge comes, you know, and we've talked about it for years. I think everybody does. You find a way around a challenge. But she said, no, the challenge is there for a reason. The obstacle's the way. So you need to find why it's there, learn from it, and get yourself over it, not around it, but and take the learnings from it each time. And, you know, and then bloody COVID-19 and everything else. Like, there were some frigging challenges this year. And so many of those could have tipped it over. And one of her things she said to me was, when you go to sleep at night, you know, because you'll be throwing everything you have at this every single day, you know, you're not earning any money out of it, and you're giving every part of your soul to it to make it right, you know, to make it work. She said, when you go to sleep at night, make sure you check in and go, am I still doing this? Is this still the right thing to do? You know, like we're putting a lot of money into it, putting a lot of time into it, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Is this still the right thing to do? And there were many times where I had to really reflect on that hard, because obviously we were chucking everything we had into it. But every single time inside, you knew, you could see the woman that you were going to help. And so you knew that the challenge was still there to strengthen whatever we were offering had to be better and had to be stronger, and we had to find ways to make sure. So that mindset for me, if I'd done that in January and all of this stuff had happened, none of this would have come to pass. I wouldn't be meeting with all these amazing people. I wouldn't have built this technology that I don't know how to build. You know, I wouldn't have found the right people to do that. I wouldn't have found cool partners. So yeah, Tara was like an absolute linchpin in changing my mindset to be able to, take this and make it something pretty amazing.
And what was Tara's last name again?
Lorigan, Lorigan.
Nice. Unreal. So I think this is, and I found this, so for me in a previous sort of 2 years ago, I was or maybe a little bit longer now, I was the editor at Boss Babe, which is a sort of a female entrepreneurial movement. And so I did a lot of work with female contributors. And I think some of the things that are slightly different, obviously, from male entrepreneurship through to female is a lot of some of those affirmations, a lot of sort of the self-belief that you can act and do this. Do you have anything that you use daily that sort of helps you get through it? It's very similar to that question of obviously it's still the right thing to do. Is there anything that you're using daily sort of to help you keep going at this? Because business, like you said, is like a real slog, and it can be literally trying everything and throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks for a very long time without getting any return.
I have a few. I'm a bit of a lyrical lover and a good quote. But from Tara and from, I don't know if you've know Sasha Coburn, but Sasha's got, she does the company You Keep with Tonya Kaywood, and she's got a few businesses and stuff. But I sort of amalgamated the two of their approaches, which is this fourth sphere, basically making sure that you've got all your ducks in a row. So if you're not feeling right, you can check in really quickly and go, what do I love? It's my kids. Have I actually spent time with them today? No. Okay, well, I need to make sure I do that. Or did I get enough sleep last night? So that's my quick checkpoint to know if I'm doing the right things by myself. But I've got lots of different quotes that play around. But one, I got to be on a webinar with Erin Brockovich, if you remember that movie from years ago. Was again insane. And she spoke of this word, and it's become like this little word that sits in my brain, stick-to-itiveness.
Stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah. And so it's like, perseverance, persistence, tenacity, being determined, but all within being firm on your purpose of why. So because we can really quickly work and work and work and be over here, but that was never the intention to be over there. But we just keep working, and we keep in like this rat race. So I think that firm on purpose piece in the middle is as soon as she said it, I was like, stick-to-itiveness. I love that, because it's dogged. It's getting in the, it's doing whatever you need to bloody do on the day to get things moving and keep going. But my other one, I'm a big fan of Batman.
We need to spend more time together. This is good. Keep going.
and what's his superpower? He never gives up. And that's we don't, because I have a bit of an argument when people call me a superwoman, like, oh my God, you're a superwoman, you do all this stuff. I'm like, no, I'm just a woman, and all of us would do the same thing to help another woman, because that's what we do. And MYOB did some research a while ago. I work with MYOB, and they said, female founders generally haven't gone, you know what, I want to own a business, and I want to earn lots of money, and I want to make my face the face that everybody knows. Female founders are generally the ones who've gone, I've got an idea, this might help someone. Oh, heck, now I'm on the snowball. Oh, okay, we're rolling out of control. This is going to turn into something. So generally, and that's definitely in this case, was tried to help myself, found I could help a lot of people, and the snowball started. But stick-to-itiveness has become really important to make sure that I hold on to the snowball and don't lose control.
I love it. That's excellent. And I do want to probe a little bit. You've got your 4 quadrant, I think, where you sort of mash Tara and Sasha's thing. How do you fill that out? What does that typically look like?
I can show you on my wall.
Perfect.
Actually, I'll screen share, because it's also on my desktop, and I might lose my internet.
Oh, you've got it on there? Yeah, go for it. I think I've given you can share it. I want to make sure that I could let you share too as well.
Okay. It's actually telling me that I hadn't. Here we go. Zoom will not be able to record the contents of your screen share.
Oh yeah, we do have that battle. That's right. Because you're not doing it from there, and they won't let you do it.
That's all right. I can.
Right.
Can you see that?
Yeah, awesome.
Here's
So
my desktop. At the moment, I've been taking a lot of photos and putting them on my desktop. Yeah, so that's the quadrant. So I
love that.
added to it, and then
Yeah.
let's move some things off it so you can see it a bit better.
Yeah. Awesome.
Can you see that enough?
Yeah, it's perfect.
It needs to be updated. It's still got sort of some of the old Hey Mama stuff on it, but it gives you a good indication. So that obstacle is the way, is Tara's words that sit there. And remembering that I'm the guardian of the project and communicate powerfully, so that, you know, when you sit in meetings and you'll have the same Kale, when someone's like, so with us, we don't weigh in, we don't have scales, we don't measure. I don't want to know, you know, what calories you've eaten today. I want you to feel good. So when I was sitting in a meeting originally with this and talking to the guys, they were like, oh, well, we could make it tap into your watch, and then we could have these scales that immediately talk to the app, and it could do all the stuff. And I sat there really quietly, and I didn't just go, guys, I'm actually paying for your time here and we're on the wrong track. So for half an hour, I let them go off the tangent. So now being able to go, I respect it. There's enough people out there doing that. That's not what we're about. And to be able to confidently deliver that, so it's pretty important for me. So so the 4 you can see, so love, light, listen, and learn. And then amalgamated some different words in there so that I remembered. So love is connecting. Listen is keeping that passion in check and making sure that, you know, what I'm doing is the right thing for me, and that it hasn't become something that I don't love doing anymore. Learn, I love learning, and so paying attention though, and like I'm talking a lot today, but I try my best just to learn and ask questions and really pay attention to the nuggets that are sitting in there. And light is all the well-being aspects. So exercise, sleeping, eating well. I'm the first to say that I'm the first to jump on a piece of chocolate or something, you know, if it's easy to grab instead of, you know, so I'm very much put my hand up that so then I just put it into almost the whare tapawha, because obviously with my teaching background, I've done quite a lot with mason jewelry. So so then I make sure that it's the henning aroa and the wairoa and tenana. So just making sure that it's all in check is really,
unreal. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that too.
It's all right.
So that's and that's very, very powerful in itself, right? Because that's a framework for how you continue to keep doing what you're doing, right? And I think one of the cool things that most businesses fail from isn't the sort of special growth things or that sort of stuff. It's usually a lack of continuous effort, right? Because most of the time we're going down these paths of sort of quite high highs and then quite horrific lows. So that's making sure you've got that framework to carry on. So I think this is a really, really cool piece for what you've done, right? Because you stand out as a role model, in the fact that you've had an idea, it came from a very altruistic place, and that you're building sort of resilience, capability, and some of the cool things that help women. But you also have in yourself here gone down this learning journey of, I've never run a business, and I think your mentor and coach did probably the right thing of saying, hey, here's the core frameworks for how to continue to succeed, because that skill is transferable to absolutely everything you do, right? Some of those bumps that come through is, and this is the part that I'm going to be very interested in, is you have no dev background, but you have a software platform, right? And you have essentially a SaaS model, which is, for anyone who hasn't heard of it before, is software as a service, where you're selling an online product to multiple people for membership costs. So I would love to hear you talk a little bit about how you obviously overcome that barrier. And if you've done no dev, I feel like your learning has had to be quite rapid. So please tell us a little bit about that.
The first meeting I sat in on, when they use all the bloody acronyms, and they're like, so, and I was like, I just sat and thinking, again, this is that communicating powerfully thing, sitting there going, I should know all this, And then I had to walk away and go, how would I know all of this? Like, I've never,
Yeah.
I don't even know how to work my own computer, let alone develop, like, you know, I've got to call someone because my printer won't connect to my laptop. Shit, what have I done wrong? So then I've got to sit in these meetings. So it was pretty funny. But Mike Jenkins owns the Instillery, and he's been a good friend of mine.
Yeah, gotcha.
Who were, well, when I was studying sport with his wife, Ange. And so I rang him and I was like, look, this is the idea I've got. This is where I've gotten to. And now I need to start talking to some serious people about it. And so he was like, you need to go to Dairne at Enlightened Designs. They'll take care of you, and they'll meet you where you are and make sure that you can build it together. So I was like, okay, cool. So I was, called them. They were wonderful to deal with, and really sort of almost wrapped around like Dev for Dummies around me, I guess. So they'd start talking, and then they'd pull it back and go, hold on a minute, and actually slow it down enough for me to actually pick up and ask questions without feeling as though I was hindering the journey, I guess. It's certainly a risk to do dev or like, you know, to do software when it's not your thing, because if things go wrong, I've absolutely no control. You know, I rely on them pretty heavily for it. But they've been amazing, and they literally picked up the vision and have stuck to it. And I met a lady called Saskia who said, you know, we're talking about MVP all the time, so minimum viable product, you know, this is what we're launching, blah blah blah. And she goes, you need to stop calling it MVP and call it MLP. This is minimum lovable. This is not something basic you need to put out there. You've got one shot, so it can't be minimum viable. It has to be minimum lovable, and then you can build on that. But there has to be the element that they love, and so. We really talked around making sure that it was really intuitive, so that it wasn't hard, so that a grandmother could jump on with her daughter who's got little kids at home and not be like, oh, this is too hard, you know. And again, we've done that this year. We've taught all our parents how to FaceTime and Zoom because we had to, or we wouldn't have communicated or seen them, and they wouldn't have seen their kids, you know, grandkids for some time. So we wanted to make sure that we sort of doubled off that's now happens, and then now you know how to use these communication technologies, but still to make it as easy, minimum clicks as possible. And then we could fill in that experience with the love in terms of our videos, the exercise videos. And now we're doing cooking videos, which, oh my God, when they get cooked here is amazing. And, you know, they're filming here. Honestly, come to my house on filming day for cooking with Lorna, because it is amazing. She's ruined food for my husband. She's ruined it. And we're doing mental health with David Galbraith, who was the psychologist for the All Blacks, and he's now the psychologist for the Japanese team. So he's going to be doing lots of mental wellness videos for us to put in there as well. And we've got self-defense. So we can fill it with our stuff. We just needed that tech to be beautiful and to really work to how we think and to make it as easy as possible. So there were no barriers. Again, there's so many barriers, like, oh, too many clicks, too hard, don't want to do it anymore. Click, you're in. You got no excuses now, you're in. So I've learned a lot of dev. I still would never tell you that I would like to go down that track. I love that that's not my track. But they've done an amazing job for having to pull all the technologies together that I'd come up with in my brain. Like, this will be easy. Why hasn't anyone done this before? It's actually really, really hard. And they've built something really, really beautiful. So yeah, pretty proud.
Yeah, I bet. Congratulations. And I think, again, every time you keep speaking, I get lots and lots of questions.
Sorry.
No, it's great. It's exactly what you want as an interviewer. I think one of the things that you've done really well, and I've sort of seen this as, and I'll jump back to the sort of dev piece, but you know how to ask for the right people. And it's a theme that I keep picking up here, is that you seem to know like quite a lot of high level people, and then also are not afraid to ask the ones that you don't know in terms of, hey, I'm going to have a crack at this. Do you have a way that you think about networking, or how you communicate, or how you understand and sort of reach out to a lot of people? Because one of the things that comes from great business is that, and similar to the way that you and I are talking now, is knowing great people, right? Because if you've got good people around you, you typically then get the opportunity to meet other people who are doing some cool stuff. So do you have a way that you think about approaching networking and asking the right questions?
Absolutely none. I wish I had like a great piece of advice there. honestly, I think what's worked is that I just be me, and probably
Nice.
how I ask, most people would go, oh my God, you can't ask that person for that. Whereas I think, well, I have
Yeah.
nothing to lose. Like I genuinely have nothing to lose. And the worst that they're going to say is either don't message me back or say, no, sorry, I don't have enough time. And I haven't been met with that too many times, like in this journey. Maybe that's down to COVID and people having a bit more time at home. I'm not sure, but genuinely, it's just I'll go, I'm just going to add this person on LinkedIn and just see what happens. But I send them a message with it. I don't just add and hope for, I'll say I might have seen them in a webinar, or I might have been talking to someone else who said, oh my God, Kale's amazing, rah, rah, rah. And I'll go, oh, I was just talking to this person. They said you were awesome. Just hope to be able to connect on here to follow your journey a bit. And often the other ones will say, oh, if you want to catch up for a Zoom, let me know. And I'm like, oh, that would be lovely. So, but also doing things my way. Like I was at the Microsoft Partner of the Year Awards in November, and I had the opportunity, Enlighten Designs took me up, which is they don't normally take clients, but they wanted to take me. And I had this opportunity to network and meet all these amazing people from Microsoft, and and I was like, it's a room full of 400 people. They are not going to remember this girl from Hamilton walking out going, I've built this platform. Hi, it's really nice to meet you. So I didn't. And then I didn't even click who this person was before you laugh at me, because this is one of those major things that, but this woman was wearing this beautiful, gorgeous dress, black, beautiful tulle. It was like a wedding dress. It had like the train at the back. And so I saw her at the start of the night, and then she spoke, and it turned out she was the managing director, Vanessa Sorensen of Microsoft, who she brought tears to my eyes when she spoke. Her speech was out the gate insane. Like I was like, how do you guys work for her every day and not just have goosebumps all the time? She was so inspiring when she spoke. And then later in the evening, she was dancing on the dance floor, and it was quite quiet. So I just tapped her on the shoulder, and I said, I didn't even introduce myself. I just said, your speech gave me goosebumps. And she got tears in her eyes, and she's like, thank you. I was like, honestly, I don't think I've ever been in the presence of a more amazing speech that just roused an entire, you could see every single person in that room was just amped to be there with her. And so then we were dancing away, and she kept holding her dress up like this because it was dragging on the floor. And netball manager brain went into gear, and in my handbag, I have every bloody tool you could ask for. So I and I was like, could I please fix your dress so that you don't have to hold it anymore? And she was like, you could do that? And so with my hair tie, I'm in the back, I'm kneeling on the ground. It was a black tie event. So I'm in a big black dress, and I'm on the ground tying up the back of her dress with my hair tie. And from that, she remembers me, and we're going out for a lunch in January. So it's pretty amazing. But it wasn't intentional. I guess that's my charm. I continue just to be me, and I'm meeting amazing people by being me and not trying to fit into a space, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I mean, I've gotten to be part of like Entrepreneurial Women with Purpose, and with Soda Inc., and with Company of Women, and those have been really amazing in terms of getting to meet people as well, and they really want to meet you as well. So it's not just me sort of going, well, I really hope that I get to talk to her one day, but it's actually really reciprocal, that they want to help as much as I want to help them at the same time. So of course. Yeah, being me, that we'll just funnel that whole message down that big yarn to just naturally just being random and me.
Well, I think I'll hopefully maybe I'll try and pull some lessons from what you said, because I've already got some. But I think a cool one is, and this is very, very much a Kiwi thing, or from what I find from actually just a most of the world thing, is that core piece of understanding, I have nothing to lose. That's a really, really big piece, like understanding and saying, hey, I actually do have nothing to lose here. And because literally the worst case scenario almost never happens, you know what I mean? And if it does, there's still no piece where you actually get upset or hurt on that. And then the second part I love from what you sort of said here is that you've just consistently turned up to be you. And in all honesty, most people don't. They're putting on something that they hope other people may like. And more often than not, it's much, much harder to maintain than just being you, right? So kudos, because I think that's probably the piece that we got from it. So I love that. That's cool. And I think with Vanessa, I'll have to introduce you to one of the people who are at Microsoft, because they're an incredible team. There's a person there. I'll do that at the end of this. So
Cool.
coming back around to this is, you've gone down the stairs path, you're going through there, and I think we're talking about Microsoft, but I would love to sort of now pull into some of these next pieces of what is the company built on, right? In terms of dev wise, what does it actually look like?
Yeah, cool. So we're a web app. Initially, it was going to be an app, and then COVID hit, and that cost way too much money. So we went for a web app, and that's built and hosted on Microsoft's Azure. And we've got a Umbraco website, and then we use video conferencing technology from Agora, which is a company over in America, California, who are on the NASDAQ, and they've been, well, every single person we've worked with, Enlighten, Microsoft, everybody has just been amazing to work with. So, you know, they gave developers 2 Enlighten designs to make sure that we could pull the technologies together and really make that particularly seamless, because what we were doing was pretty difficult to do. That's basically the technologies that have been pulled together. And then there's a lot of, you know, that sits in the background that that we've had to keep working on and keep strengthening and keep trying to find ways to make it all work together. But yeah, that's the basic premise of the technologies we've used.
Nice. And I know you sort of said, so you mentioned Azure, and then I think obviously the other 2 pieces that built on. Internally, what are you using to chat with your team? What does it look like to sort of, or I guess, build and have a crack with sort of some of these conversations? I think you might have mentioned you might be using Teams, but
yeah, so we use Teams with Enlighten Designs. So whenever we've got, whether that's one-on-one calls with like a couple of them, or whether those are big team talks, particularly during lockdown, obviously when we couldn't go in and have our 2-3 hour meetings and you know, brainstorm sessions and everything, that was all on Teams. Typically we don't have a lot of internal at the moment. Everybody's here when they need to be. But yeah, so we use Teams with Enlighten Designs, and then we use Microsoft for Word and Excel and PowerPoint and everything else with that.
Yeah, nice, cool. And so it sounds obviously like you've got a lot of the business running through there and that sort of thing, going through the Microsoft side. Are you using, in terms of, where's your hosting done? Who do you have to sort of, and I think this is one of those key things, right, that actually a lot of people will see this and it's actually a really big difference, but you have your own URL domain at the end of your email sign off, right? Because I think it's one of those things that translates for people. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Like this person's not sure what they're doing comparatively to, oh, that person owns a company, right? So when did you set that up, and was that you set it up?
No, it was us that set it up, but our team that set it up. Yeah, I can't take credit for that one. Our team, my amazing team did that. But yeah, we're all everything's hosted on Microsoft Azure. Yeah,
awesome, cool.
Yeah.
And are you operating out of Outlook for email wise?
Say again?
Do you use, what's your email like? How do you email day to day? What are you using?
Gmail.
Yeah, cool. And it's completely fine. I think we want to look at sort of some of the pieces, right? Because one of the things.
Sorry, you go.
No, it's just what we want to sort of see here is just for founders, what's been the easiest path for them to get on board, right? And if it's usually it's a mix and mash of everything that works. It's just cool that you've got a majority of your stuff hosted with Microsoft.
Yeah. We're definitely working with the partner center with Microsoft with who am I working with at the moment? There were about 3 of them that we're all in meetings with at the moment, working on. So we're doing quite a lot through the partner center and doing a lot of courses coming into January. I think Corey signed up for about 5 or 6 of them. So definitely using a lot of that access as well to strengthen what we're doing. Cool. And we have intentions obviously to move everything across and become the Microsoft one-stop shop, because they've been wonderful. So yeah, wicked. Okay, awesome. And I think coming into sort of the last piece of this, and obviously I feel like I've got a huge amount of questions here, but I won't try and steal too much of your time. You're right.
Is there any pieces of advice, because there'll be a few people who get to see this, and I imagine the people who will be seeing you and saying, hey, look, I could become Daz in the position she is. So is there anything in pieces of advice that you want to share with others?
Don't become Daz.
Okay. Number one piece of advice.
First piece of advice. What's my biggest piece of advice? Honestly, that for me, for the learnings that have happened this year is resilience. I don't think any of us give it enough credit. And when you're starting, and I don't think it would matter if you were starting a small business or you had this idea to scale. I think if you don't have that strength of mind and resilience, then you're going to be in trouble. So really get out there and find your cheerleaders, like find those people who aren't just saying, yeah, great idea, keep going. They challenge you enough and give you things to think about to strengthen yourself and your offering. And to know that, and there's that song, God, is it Billy Joel? Don't forget your second wind, but don't forget your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, 65th wind. But you get the wind knocked out of your sails so often, and you think you're on the right track, and then you're not. And you've got to start from scratch again, or find the next lane that you're going to try. And it's not as fast as you would love it to be. Like you think you got this great idea, and once I get this part, everything's gonna be fine, and it's not. So you've just got to keep trucking away, but just making sure that curve is on its way up. And if it's not, what are your the T intersections, or what are your decision points that you need to really be aware of and know your stop goes, I guess. And I have lots of advice. Look at me, I'm just going to keep going. Comfort zone, there is none.
Good.
You are so far away from a comfort zone, and particularly for someone like me who I want to be a business owner. I love getting in behind someone else's co-papa and really getting in and seeing their dreams fly. So for me to be out here being a business owner, it was never the goal. So the comfort zone is certainly very far away. But my other probably biggest thing is always be in learning mode. There's always something you can pick up every single day. You do not know. I can guarantee you, even those massive CEOs and massive $1 trillion companies, they'd still have to say they learn something every day. And if they're not doing it right. They've got to, even from their start, you can learn stuff everywhere, whether it's a blog or a conversation or and stand up. Be the leader, that everyone needs you to be, because that's been, we all have those tough days, and being able to not revert to B game and stick on A game and go, no, I need for the team that I'm working with, for the women I'm doing this for, I can't drop to B, C or D game. I have to stand up and keep going. So
Amazing. That's an incredible piece of advice. And I think it resonates with a lot of people, regardless of whether or not you're female or male. That's really, really useful for advice, right? And definitely something that echoed through. So I think on that note, is there any way, if you're okay with it, are there any things that you want to address to sort of how people get a hold of you, email address or anything like that?
So you can get hold of me anywhere, apparently. Someone rang me the other day. I didn't know my cell phone number was out there, but it is. LinkedIn. So like I said earlier, my name's way too hard to say. That's why everyone calls me Daz. But my LinkedIn is Dairne, Dairne Burns. So anyone is welcome to contact me on LinkedIn. And email is just daz@collectiveupside.com. But we're always around, so if anyone has any questions or ideas for us, like I said, I'm always open to learning and always open to those conversations. So by all means, get in touch.
Unreal. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time. You've been excellent. I've learned a huge amount myself. So for everyone who's watching, do get in touch with Daz, because she's got some incredible advice. All right. Thanks, mate.
Thank you. Ka kite.